Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division, and this is the DRC meeting for Burdett Property. Your lead reviewer is Katie Macarini, and the purpose of this meeting is to ask any questions based upon the comments you received. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and I'll turn it over to Katie to get us started.
Yeah, so I just want to get started with, I'm not going to go through all the comments, but just like sort of the major concerns. So the first is that the construction of vehicle parking or stormwater management facilities and other structures within the stream valley buffer is not permitted for the environmental guidelines. To alleviate impacts on the stream valley buffer and to improve the site layout, staff strongly encourages that the applicant relocate the the surface parking under the building in either a podium or below grade garage. And the building should really be widened along Ridge Road frontage on the main lobby of the building, and access should be from Ridge Road, as you're showing. And removing the surface parking should make it easier to widen the building and the street frontage, which is one of the master plan visions for this area. The subject application will need an approved stormwater management concept from DPS Stormwater Management prior to the planning board action on this item. The applicant should extend the buffered sidewalk along the frontage and north to close the existing sidewalk gap on this west side of Ridge Road. Staff supports the construction of private streets on the site to create a parallel street network to Ridge Road. We would like to see exploration of a bike ped connection to the townhouse community immediately to the south. There are some clarifications and corrections needed in the data table. The statement of justification needs to explain how the necessary findings in Chapter 50 are met. And I want to also just note that there are several comments from WSSC that need to be addressed. On that note, Dean, do you have any questions or clarifications for the reviewing agencies?
Yeah, I have probably way too many questions to address in this forum. And I'd like to start by saying, I'd like to set up a workshop meeting in the near future so that we can bring our team and sit down and try to work through some of these things. And I wanted to start off by saying that, the metric of this development is to bring the first 100% LIHTC MPDU project to Damascus, and probably the area, because most projects try to meet the 15% or maybe more of MPDUs, and this is scheduled to be 100%. So we wanted to bring affordability per the direction of the county council and the state and the county executive, to bring affordable living to not only Montgomery County, but to Damascus. It is desperately needed. And, we heard that calling, and we tried to, bring something to the table that would be, accommodate that in the best way possible. And I understand there's a lot of, constraints that this property has, and we'd like to discuss them, as we go further. I know, I did see the path connection to the neighborhood. I mean, there is a path connection out on Ridge Road, and we can discuss this further, but there's slopes that are probably 25% connecting our site with the property next door, and we can look at that all in detail. But I don't have a whole lot of questions here. What we've done is to the code change with the new green energy code and the new codes that went into effect. We had proceeded probably ahead of the game to pretty much fully design the building and CD sets that were submitted to not only the government funding agencies to start the funding process, because in addition to subdivision and all the plans that I have to get approved to entitle the property, there is a whole process that you have to go through with the government to raise, LIHTC funding and funding for these kind of projects, because they're not developer driven. They are, subsidized by the government in various programs. So that process has started. So, we're ahead of the game with the architecture, and we can sit down and kind of go through what we can do and how to make this work to get it to the next level, because the developer and our whole team is really excited about bringing this affordable product to area that desperately needs it, and we want to work together to make that happen the best way possible.
Yeah, thank you, Dean. I just want to make sure it's clear too. We're actually really excited about the project and what you're trying to do here. I think we just need some coordination on some of these, comments that just need to be thought about in a little bit different way. So I think with some additional coordination, I believe we can get you there and put you on a path for smooth sailing. And unless you have any other specific questions for the agencies, I think we can probably just walk through a drawing really quick to give you a little high level. We won't get into too much detail, but just give a chance for the team to explain a little bit what the thinking is.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing, Patrick.
Oh,
that
sorry, Dean. Go ahead.
I feel like I'm pushing over top the boundary as to what Doug is comfortable with, and I was just hoping with what we're trying to bring to the table with affordability would, I don't, it's, I don't know how black and white everything is, but I know that if there is a little bit of flexibility we can work with together to come up with the best layout, I would be excited to try to get there.
Yeah, we'll take a look at any flexibility in the law that the team's comfortable with. As we move forward, I hear what you're saying. We'll sharpen our pencils and go to work, try to get you on the good path moving forward.
Yeah, I looked at this layout, and you can walk through it, but one of my biggest concerns is trying to figure out how to make the fire department compliant with Marie and her, because the restrictions are every point on the building has to be 450 feet from the fire department access, and how do we get that with any layout, and 50 feet from a FDC fire department connection. And there's more details to what I'm saying, but the way I had it before required a T turnaround for fire trucks, and that was part of the issue with the site and making the layout work with the stream buffer and everything else. And I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. All right. So we really tried to work with the foundation that you started with the building layout, but while trying to accomplish the other goals that we need to for the site. So I'll start actually at the back and work our way forward. As you can see, we have taken out all of the parking and other stormwater management facilities outside of the stream buffer. That's what's shown in that thick dashed line at the back. We have then taken the majority of the parking, and we were able to actually preserve most of it and put it under the building. That's what's shown in this inset over here. So this is underneath the building. There's still some surface parking here, but we also want to explore the opportunity to maybe have a street connection to the lots adjacent to the northeast here in the future, so that we can build out a parallel network to Ridge Road, so there's not so much of a dependence on there. That may or may not be feasible. We just want to explore it with this project. Other concerns that we had too is that really this is the town center area, so we want to maximize the building frontage on the frontage of Ridge Road as much as possible. So you've noticed that we've widened the building out here. We have tried to find a more interesting spot for the playground that relates more to the building and isn't quite so like tucked away and back where there's sort of some storage on the adjacent lot here. We're really trying to maximize the amount of like trees and pedestrian connections throughout the project. And then we also have a consistent shared use path that matches what was in the townhouse community just to the southwest here. This still is also showing a 4-story building. We can talk a little bit more about like what's feasible with the code to make sure that we meet the 150,000 square feet of residential that we need to make this a mixed income plan. I think we're showing that here. And then I think that's hitting on all of the big things that we need to on this one. Any questions about this, Dean?
Just for the playground area, what strikes me as a little, a bit of a challenge is the site pretty much slopes at like 7%, from Ridge Road, back to, the end of where the parking is shown here, and how to figure all that. And I had originally put the playground area, in the back so that it was away from, people and cars and everything else, so that, for safety reasons is kind of why I put it back there.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we've got some stuff to kind of work out. So appreciate that. With that, with the time that we have left, I just want to go through our next steps in the schedule. So we need, with the resubmittal, some additional information for review of the mixed income plan. And or maybe it makes sense maybe to step back and look at this more at a concept level. And like you said, we agree that we need to schedule some follow-up meetings for both the design and the environment. And then, like you said, we need to coordinate with Marie with her review, and then also kind of touch on some of those transportation issues. So I think we do have some things we need to work out. As far as the schedule goes, to working backwards from a planning board date of July 24th, because that's the last date that we can make within the 90-day review period. Also note that that is also the board's last date before their recess. So if we need to push back on that, we're going to need a pretty big extension there. We have a next submittal will be June 4th with a final submittal of June 9th, and agency letters would be due June 24th. Do you have any questions about that schedule?
I will pray.
All right. With that, I think that's everything that we plan to cover today, unless there was anything else you wanted to discuss.
That's all I have for now. If we can somehow set up a meeting, that would be good.
Yeah.
Any other agencies that had comments they wanted to reiterate?
The SPA, don't forget to apply for the SPA to WCC.
All right. That it? All right. Thank you, everybody.
So you'll contact me by email as far as when dates, and we'll schedule it, and coordinate on our end.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.